Breaking news from London. Prince Harry's courtroom battle is crumbling. His lawyers are abandoning ship, and shocking revelations are turning his case upside down. This is Royal Daily Report, and we have the full story. Good day, viewers. You're watching Royal Daily Report, bringing you the latest developments from the British royal family. I'm your host, and today we're covering a story that has everyone talking. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Royal Daily Report and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on royal news. Now, let's dive into what's happening with Prince Harry. London. So Harry's in a really tough situation, isn't he? I mean, this whole thing with the British newspapers, it's just getting out of control. You've got the Duke of Sussex really angry about making these newspapers answer for their actions. Specifically, Associated Newspapers Limited. You know, the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday people. He's been on this mission saying they illegally collected information on him. But the whole thing seems to be falling apart right in front of our eyes. And get this, his legal team, important members of it, have resigned. Now, that's not just a small problem. That's like your best football player leaving the field in the middle of the game. People on the inside are saying it wasn't just a reorganization. It was a planned escape. They saw what was coming. Apparently, a sinking ship and all that. The big turning point seems to have been the start of the trial. Harry's making these big accusations, right? Illegal activity, conspiracies, everything you can think of. But then the defense starts hitting back with some serious responses, getting really personal. And that's where things started to get messy for Harry. He's basically accusing two royal journalists, Rebecca English from the Daily Mail and Katie Nicholl, spelled Niholl, of criminal behavior. Criminal for finding out information about him and his friends. But Associated Newspapers came out fighting hard, painting a completely different picture. They're saying Harry isn't some innocent victim of these sneaky press tricks, but that he actually took part in the whole circus, that he played the game. Specifically, they went after the accusations against Katie Nicholl. She used to be the diary editor for the Mail on Sunday, and she's a pretty well-known talking head on TV. The defense is saying she wasn't some sneaky spy, but that she was actually invited to a private party back in 2011 at Kensington Roof Gardens by Harry himself, and apparently they stayed in touch after that, hanging out in the same social circles. I mean, that's very different from a criminal conspiracy, isn't it? And then came the big blow. According to the defense, Nicholl's response to Harry's accusations was pretty direct. "No, Harry, you invited me to come and party with you." Ouch, that's got to hurt. It completely destroys his whole victim story. Makes it look like he's got a personal revenge mission against someone he actually knew. It suggests, at the very least, a complicated relationship, not some clear example of criminal harassment. The case against Rebecca English is similar. Harry's main lawyer, David Sherborne, tried to show an email from 2010 where English was supposedly trying to get flight details for Harry's then-girlfriend, Chelsea Davy, Chelsy, from a private jet company. Sherborne argued that this proved she was using illegal methods to get information. But the defense knocked that down too, saying the email didn't prove anything illegal. They pointed to English's long career as a real journalist, her professional access during Harry's time as a working royal. The combined effect of all this is pretty terrible for Harry. It makes these journalists seem human, makes them seem like they're just doing their jobs. And it makes Harry look like he's on some personal revenge hunt, making things bigger than they are, and mixing up normal journalism and actual criminal activity. You could see the damage it was doing to him in court. He looks stressed, older. The irony is strong, right? The guy who spent years complaining about press invasion is now sitting in a courtroom with the entire world watching his every move as he tries to destroy the careers of these journalists. And the fact that his legal team is leaving, that's huge. It shows they've lost faith in his case. One legal expert said that when lawyers walk away like that, it's because they think their client's instructions are impossible to follow or the evidence has completely fallen apart. They're not abandoning the law. They're abandoning Harry's version of events. It's harsh, but that's how it is. For Harry, this is a disaster, plain and simple. This case was supposed to be the foundation of his and Meghan's whole fight against the UK media. They presented it as this moral battle, right? Good versus evil. But if it collapses, it's more than just a legal loss. It's a huge symbolic blow. It destroys his believability, makes him look like he's just a complainer who can't handle the press. And let's not forget the legal bills. If he loses, he could be responsible for a ton of money. But even worse, it could lock in this public view of him as being constantly fighting. Unable to tell the difference between fair criticism and actual hatred. It makes him look thin-skinned, like he can't take the heat. Meanwhile, these reporters, they're coming out looking pretty good. They're not these faceless villains Harry's painted them to be. They're established professionals defending their reputations. Katie Nicholl, who just beat cancer, and Rebecca English, who's been covering the royals for years. They're fighting back. They're saying Harry's story is nonsense, that he's rewriting history to make himself look better. The whole trial has changed. It's not just about what these journalists did 10 years ago. It's become a vote on Harry's judgment, his relationship with the truth, and whether he's just fighting a personal war. And the fact that his lawyers are leaving, that's the clearest sign yet that he's losing. The image of him sitting in that courtroom, it was pretty harsh. He looked miserable, smaller, like a little kid in a suit that's too big for him. This was supposed to be his big moment, his chance to finally get back at the tabloids. Instead, it's turning into a public breakdown. And where's Meghan in all of this? She's an ocean away in Montecito. Complete silence. No public displays of support. No holding his hand as he walks into court. Nothing. For a couple who built their brand on this us against the world story, her absence is deafening. It screams volumes. He moved his family across the world to protect them, and now he's standing alone facing the consequences. Sources are saying the atmosphere around Harry is tense, hopeless. The legal team's resignation wasn't just a tactical problem. It was a vote of no confidence. They're basically saying his case is a loser. This leaves him exposed, not just legally, but emotionally. His misery in court, it's not just about the tough questions he's facing. It's about watching his whole identity, his righteous victimhood, being torn apart in front of everyone. The testimony, it's been brutal. It attacks his story of being unfairly persecuted. The stories about him inviting Katie Nicholl to parties, about their social contact, it paints a much more complicated picture. It suggests that he was an active participant in the whole media game, that he benefited from it at times. Having your past reinterpreted like that so publicly, it's got to be confusing. He's not just fighting a newspaper. He's fighting a version of his own history, and he's losing. This whole thing highlights a major contradiction in Harry's post-royal life. He and Meghan built a huge empire on their personal story, selling documentaries, books, and podcasts. But when the most important legal chapter of that story is being written, he's on his own. Meghan's absence suggests a planned retreat. She's distancing herself from this mess. She's had her own problems with the press, but she's clearly decided this is Harry's battle to fight and maybe to lose. You can see the emotional damage on him, his posture, his distant stare, the lack of that defiant energy he used to have. He looks miserable. He's caught between two worlds. The one he was born into, which he claims rejected him, and the one he built, which doesn't seem to be supporting him now. That California dream is looking pretty far away right now. Ultimately, Harry's misery is a symptom of a bigger strategic failure. He tried to transplant the dynamics of a royal feud, where you can just put out statements and rely on friendly media, into a court of law. But the courtroom doesn't care about stories. It cares about evidence, cross-examination, and cold, hard facts. Meghan, the architect of their media strategy, isn't there because there's no media strategy left to execute. There's just a case, and it's falling apart. The judge, the press gallery, the empty chair where Meghan should be sitting. It's all coming together to create this crushing pressure. He wanted to be seen as a warrior for justice, but he looks like a stranded soldier. His allies have left. His fortress of solitude has been revealed to be just that, alone. His misery isn't just personal. It's the result of a campaign that mistook publicity for power and confession for influence. And in a court of law, neither is enough. Okay, so let's talk about what this all really means, right? Forget the legal language and the royal drama for a second. This whole thing is a perfect example of how not to handle a PR crisis, and honestly, how not to be a public figure in the 21st century. Side with the poor little P. Harry's playing this game like it's still the 1990s, like he can just cry invasion of privacy, and everyone's supposed to automatically side with the poor little prince. But the world doesn't work like that anymore. People are smarter. They see through the nonsense, and they definitely don't like being lectured by a guy who's made millions sharing his dirty laundry on Netflix. I mean, come on. The irony is just dripping off this case. He's suing the tabloids for invading his privacy while at the same time selling every intimate detail of his life to the highest bidder. It's like, dude, you can't have it both ways. You can't complain about the press when you're literally using the press to make money. And Meghan's absence, that's just telling, isn't it? They're supposed to be this power couple, this united front against the world. But when things get tough, she's nowhere to be seen. It's like she's already distancing herself, calculating the damage. I don't know. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't scream ride or die, that's for sure. Here's the thing. Harry's lost the narrative. He's lost the public sympathy. He's painted himself into a corner, and now he's lashing out at everyone around him. And honestly, it's not a good look. It makes him seem bitter, entitled, and completely out of touch. And the fact that his legal team is leaving, that's not just a legal problem. It's a PR disaster. It sends a message that even they don't believe in his case. It suggests that he's so unreasonable, so stubborn that even the people he's paying to represent him can't stand to be around him. Look, I'm not saying the tabloids are perfect. They're not. They're often ruthless and invasive. But Harry's approach is completely backfiring. He's not winning hearts and minds. He's not changing the system. He's just making himself look like a fool. And the worst part is this whole thing is so unnecessary. He could have just ignored the tabloids. He could have focused on his charity work. He could have just lived his life in peace. But instead, he chose to fight this war. And now he's paying the price. It's a warning story. Really, a reminder that fame and fortune don't buy you happiness, and that sometimes the best thing to do is just walk away. But Harry, he can't seem to let go. He's obsessed with proving himself right, even if it means destroying himself in the process. And honestly, at this point, it's hard to feel sorry for him. He's made his bed, and now he has to lie in it. Even if that bed is a lonely wood-paneled courtroom in London with the whole world watching him fall apart. The whole thing just screams epic failure. He's in a mess of his own making, and it doesn't look like he's getting out of it anytime soon. And that's the latest on Prince Harry's legal battle from Royal Daily Report. The situation continues to develop, and we'll keep bringing you updates as this story unfolds. If you found this report informative, please subscribe to Royal Daily Report and share this video with others who want to stay informed about royal news. For Royal Daily Report, I've been your host. Stay informed, stay updated, and we'll see you in the next report. Thank you for watching.